As everyone knows, adopting AI is about more than technology. It's about fostering a culture that embraces change and innovation.
I think we need organizations to be transparent with their employees about why Gen AI tools are exciting or of interest to them.
With increasing reliance on AI tools, as we discussed, comes the pressing issue of governance. This is especially critical for SMEs managing limited resources.
CDW has a lot of different AI partnerships. We actually have a great heritage of AI prior to, the ChatGPT inspired Gen AI boom.
Innovation without strategy can lead to unintended consequences. Be proactive, not reactive. Welcome back to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, SK. We bring you exclusive insights from thought leaders and experts driving change in Canada's small business landscape. Today's episode focuses on the transformative potential and challenges of generative AI for SMEs. Drawing insights from CDW Canada's latest report on the uncharted use of AI in Canadian workplaces. Small businesses are at a pivotal point to embrace innovation, and AI is a game changer they can't ignore. Today's guest is Brian Matthews, the head of services and digital workspace at CDW Canada. With over 15 years of expertise in services, solution architecture, sales, and partner management, Brian brings a holistic view of solving complex business challenges. As the chair of CDW Canada's Unite Group, he champions DE&I and foster human connection through social impact. Brian, welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be on the podcast today. And I'm a big fan of the work that you and the Canadian SME team do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. We are truly honored to have you join us today. It's always a pleasure to explore such an important topic for every business, like small or medium, with someone of your expertise. Let's start by exploring CDW Canada's latest report. AI is revolutionizing how businesses operate, but its uncharted usage raises key challenges. Your recent report sheds light on this. Can you walk us through the key insights from CDW Canada's report, Uncharted Innovation, the rise of unofficial AI tool usage among Canadian office workers?
Absolutely. So when we were designing the survey, we really wanted to learn more about Gen AI adoption from a few different perspectives. Obviously, from the business perspective, what's happening within Canadian organizations, from the employee or user's perspective, and then also from the IT decision maker's perspective, because what we ended up finding out were not all of those things were aligned. And some of the key findings, first and foremost, Gen AI adoption is being driven by the employees. So employees are not waiting around for organizations to formally approve, sanction, roll out, and train them on Gen AI tools. They are simply going out and using it. Right. So clearly that represents a whole host of challenges, mainly around security, data governance. I know we're going to dig into security quite a bit today because it's a big topic. Beyond that, we really wanted to understand adoption and differences between people that were maybe early adopters of these Gen AI tools versus maybe people that are not yet adopting. And there were some really great findings there around, 1 in 2 employees are using unsanctioned AI tools. I mean, the fact that it's unsanctioned is not good, but the fact that they're trying to leverage new technology is positive. We found out that there's a certain percentage of employees that just don't believe AI has any value to their job role, right? And that really scared me and maybe angered me and also excited me about the opportunity, because show me somebody that's a part of the professional workforce or not the knowledge workforce, and I'll show them 100 different ways that Gen AI can help them in their day-to-day. Right. So clearly, just like any new technology, any new area, we're going to have people that maybe need a little bit more convincing, need more training, and so forth. The last thing I would say is that when we look at this study and when we really dug into the data, we talked about security, we talked about adoption, we're seeing adoption in certain areas, more than others. And one of the things that really jumped out at us was that mid-level and senior level executives are using unapproved Gen AI tools 37 and 38% of the time. Right. So when we think about security, when we think about the types of information that many executives have access to, it's very scary to know at that prevalence that they're using, unsanctioned tools and essentially putting their business at risk.
Right. That's really fascinating, Brian. It's clear that generative AI is becoming a double-edged sword in workplaces. Dear listeners, generative AI is more than just a buzzword. It's reshaping Canadian workplaces in real time. As small business owners, staying informed and strategic about its usage is critical to thriving in the digital age. Now, let's shift our focus to the risk of unregulated AI usage and how businesses can mitigate them effectively. With increasing reliance on AI tools, as we discussed, comes the pressing issue of governance. This is especially critical for SMEs managing limited resources. What are the potential risks for businesses, especially SMEs, when AI tools are adopted without proper regulated or governance?
Mhm. Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's very important to understand that not all Gen AI tools, not all LLMs are created equal from a security and governance perspective, especially within businesses. So, the idea that a user could simply just be putting sensitive or proprietary information into a public LLM and it's going to live inside that LLM forever. It could be potentially training that LLM moving forward. I don't know a lot of business leaders or executives or IT security practitioners that want their private information in a public LLM. So, there are generative AI tools purpose built for enterprises, purpose built for corporations, SME organizations that take into account the proper security governance, the proper data governance, the proper risk mitigation strategies in order to make sure that those organizations, again, are not putting undue risk into their environment. And, at the end of the day, it could be security breaches, data loss. It could be, regulation and a lack of adherence to regulation if you're in a regulated industry. And then at the end of the day, financial loss. Right. And again, I don't know a lot of IT executives or just business executives that are eager to do things that present a risk of financial loss to the organization.
Yeah. So proper training all the employees and each and every part of the organization is very, very important on using the generative AI tools.
Yeah. So from the study, we asked where people were getting training. Right. A large amount of people, even with approved AI tools from their workplace, have not been trained. Right. So let's just kind of unpack that and think about that. And let's look back in history for other examples. Imagine a time, let's say we were in the 1980s, early 1990s, and we were given a computer for the first time as a knowledge worker. Would it be smart for that organization to also then train me on how to use that computer and the power of the computer and all the different use cases that I could do and I could use to become more productive? Or should they simply just hand me the box and expect me to figure it out? Right now, many organizations, even that are thinking about security and doing it right, are implementing approved tools, are putting policies in place. They're simply expecting their employees to go out and figure it out on their own. So we found out via the survey about where people are going. It's online, right? They're going to, online forums. They're going to social media, right? They're going to, places where, again, I don't think most organizations want their employees being properly trained. The other really exciting part about training is via the survey, it showed that organizations that invest in training and employees that have approved tools and receive training are more comfortable and are more likely to adopt the technology, right? So it's not just a pipe dream that if we train them, they'll start using it, right? We're seeing, through the survey that it is having a direct impact.
Right. That's a very important perspective, Brand. Balancing innovation with control is key for SMEs navigating the AI. How can businesses begin to implement, governance frameworks without overburdening their existing operations?
Yeah. As someone that works so closely with SMEs and small businesses, there will likely forever be a challenge around not having enough resources, not having big enough teams, right? And trying to balance, their core business with these big technology disruptions. So I think it is first and foremost important to call out that this is a challenge that is not new to AI. So again, we can look back at history. How did small businesses and SMEs, adopt things like, the cloud or other, disruptive technologies in the past? So I think, when we work with more small business, because CDW is a huge small business arm and group, and obviously in Canada, we're the land of small businesses. So it's important for us to really understand those organizations. When we think about it, it's about starting small, right? So, let's not just roll out, whether it's a Copilot license or another Gen AI tool, let's not just roll it out to the whole organization. Maybe let's pick a subset of individuals and maybe let's handpick those users, right? Who do we know within our organization that is very apt and very capable at adapting to new tools and technology? Let's maybe prioritize that. Let's prioritize individuals in your organization that maybe have an outsized influence, right? We all know individuals, men and women within our organization, when they speak, more people listen, right? So that's someone I want in my, Gen AI pilot, right? Because I know that their, voice is going to carry weight within the broader organization. From a policy perspective and a governance perspective, I don't think it's intelligent or savvy to start from scratch with AI policy and governance. It's really about adapting your existing governance policies into an AI framework, right? So again, it can just help you get to, value, get to adoption a little bit quicker. Celebrating success, right? I like to tell anytime there's 2 or 3 minutes left in a meeting, I'll just talk about something cool I did today with Gen AI. Right. And I'll just showcase, oh, wow, today, I was having a meeting and I was prepping for a client meeting and I asked Copilot to help me prep what is that organization's top 5 strategic priorities? What have their big investments been over the last 3 to 5 years? And help me understand what would be important to know going into a meeting with them. Right now, I could just go and do that myself. I could, maybe find somebody that's willing to do that for me. But in seconds, I can get that information at my fingertips. Right. So sharing those just quick wins, quick examples. It's such a nascent tool. It's such a nascent technology. And lastly, it's not just a new tool, right? We've had new tools in the past. We've been given new technology. This new tool is changing the way I do my work. It's changing the way that organizations collaborate. It's changing the way that we get the work that we need to do every day done, right? So that is a big difference, right? I'm not just getting a faster computer that can, do the same things it's always done, but a little bit better. I am now working with a personalized AI assistant that knows me, knows my information, has a history working with me, and can help me be more effective in my role.
Yeah, that's a very crucial point, Brian. Like balancing innovation with proper governance is very essential for any business, like who is leveraging AI tools. To all our listeners, the journey of AI adoption begins with clarity and governance. Remember, innovation without strategy can lead to unintended consequences. Be proactive, not reactive. Up next, we will explore how small businesses can tailor AI solutions to their specific needs and challenges. For those SMEs, who are implementing AI solutions often feel like navigating uncharted territory with limited resources. What are the biggest challenges SMEs face in adopting AI, and how can tailored frameworks help them address these hurdles?
Yeah. So we talked a bit already, but lack of resources,
Right.
right? Lack of AI skills, right?
Lack of training.
Lack of training. So these are all, big challenges and very problematic for SMEs. I'll maybe dig into a different area, which is around the user adoption piece, right? So 37% of people that have been given an approved AI tool by their organization simply have not used it, right? They do not see any value of Gen AI tools for them. Right. So again, the people that responded to this survey.
Do you think it's because of lack of training being not provided?
So I think lack of training can help solve that challenge, but I think the challenge is actually just deeper to us as humans. people don't like to change, right? People like to be in their comfort zone.
Comfort zone.
They
Yeah.
want to do things the way they've always done it. I've been at, my job for 17
And it's a
years.
very big challenge for many small business owners to pull out the people from their comfort zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we give those individuals the push? Again,
Right.
training can help us get there. Another key stat, this wasn't from our survey, but, the employee appetite for change was dramatically impacted by the pandemic. So after the pandemic, it was actually an all-time low of employee appetite for change in the workplace, right? And I get it, right? I wanted life to go back to normal. I wanted to go back into the office. I think we all have this nostalgia of the past. But when we contrast that, or when we, have a conversation around that and innovative and new technology, right? Something has to give, right? We need, as Canadians, as business leaders, and as employees, we need to change at a speed and scale that we've never been asked to do in human history at the same moment where there's an all-time low of employee appetite for change, right? So again, we have to share stories. We have to create AI councils and user feedback forums and ways for people to share and inspire each other. I think the really good news around Gen AI is there are certain use cases that if you do it once, you're never going to have to remember to do it again, right? The first time hit summarize this email chain, knew that every time I need an email summarized for the rest of my career, I'm just going to click that button. I don't need to remember to do it, because the value of having the tool summarize an email thread versus me reading through,
Going back and
who's on this email, who's on that email, what's the context, what's
Right.
even going on here. Now, again, the AI tool isn't perfect. It's not going to I'm not just going to hit summarize email and trust it, but it's going to get me a much better understanding of what's going on. Even things like, meeting summaries, right? You meet in a Teams meeting, right? And at the end of the meeting, it just spits out a meeting summary with action items, next steps, key milestones. Again, all of us have the ability to take meeting notes, but how many people actually do? And how many people do it in a standardized way, in an effective way, and communicate those meeting notes in a way that, can provide value back to the business. So again, there are certain use cases that are just obviously and automatically understood as valuable to the employee. And I think that's what's driving the adoption, from the bottom up.
Right. You have highlighted some critical challenges, Brian. Like SMEs often need accessible support to unlock AI's full potential. Can you share how third-party support for our partnerships can make AI adoption more feasible for small businesses?
Absolutely. So, if we go back just to recap some of the things that we've talked about already, SMEs lack enough resources, the skill sets, employees, don't want to change, don't want to adapt new technology. So the interesting part that we found out via our survey was that although organizations understand they don't have the skill sets necessary, they still have not engaged with any third party around AI strategy, AI planning, and AI expertise. So that has to give at some point, right? Organizations should not simply try and figure out what their AI strategy be. They should reach out to third-party trusted advisors, whether it's manufacturers, software organizations, solution providers, and what that's going to allow them to do is learn what those organizations and those experts are seeing, not just within potentially their own business, but across all the businesses that they work with, right? You're going to potentially be able to learn from some other people's mistakes, right? This is a technology that's being adopted really, really quickly, and it's very nascent. So any tip or any little trick or any, pitfall I can avoid as a business leader that can save me time and save me money is going to be important, right? Third-party training is super important. If there isn't enough AI skill sets, there's absolutely not going to be enough AI training skill sets. And I think for SMEs specifically, training can come in a lot of forms, right? Like we could all go and attend, U of T business school, AI training, right? With a big price tag attached to it. But that might not work for SMEs. So webinars, right? LinkedIn, there's tons of content, tons of information, tons of ways to go out and learn these things. But again, with a strategic focus so that it's not your employees going onto a random web forum or a website trying to learn how to use AI tools, not specifically for business use.
Right. You have provided fantastic insights, Brian. Like tailored solutions and partnerships, third party partnerships are critical for SMEs to navigate the complexities of AI adoption. Stay with us, folks. After the break, we will explore the role of human connection and performance in driving AI success.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Four billion people check their email every day. That's 4 billion missed opportunities if your message doesn't make it. To reach your customer's inbox, you need a winning strategy. And Constant Contact delivers. Literally, over 97% deliverability. Elevate your email game with easy-to-use templates, writing assistants powered by AI, and in-depth metrics. Ensuring your email is flawless, delivered, and read. Constant Contact delivers. Give it a try.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
connect, and recharge.
make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's shift gears and discuss how organizations can foster a high-performance culture alongside AI adoption. Now, let's delve into the role of culture and human connection in driving AI success. As everyone knows, adopting AI is about more than technology. It's about fostering a culture that embraces change and innovation. Brian, how can small businesses create a culture that integrates AI while it's still focusing on human performance and collaboration?
Yep. Yeah, really great question. Really, really interesting. I'm not a psychologist, right? But at the same time, I think, we absolutely need to look at human psychology, learn from, previous iterations of new technology. So first and foremost, there are some elephants in the room when it comes to AI, right? There is fear of job replacement, mass job replacement, right? There is fear of, biased AI. There's a lot of sci-fi movies that have painted some pretty dystopian things around technology like this. So we can't just ignore that, right? We need to address it head on. So, I'll talk about some of those things. If we think about a fear of job loss and mass job loss, I think we need organizations to be transparent with their employees about why Gen AI tools are exciting or of interest to them. So, for example, when computers first came out, everybody thought there would be mass job replacement. As robotics became more ubiquitous and
they're going to replace,
they're going to replace us. Right. What we can talk about is the facts. And the facts is right now we've got more people employed on Earth than at any point in history, right? And that's not just, I gave a couple examples from recent history. We can go way back in history and there's fear of mass job replacement. So one is around, this idea, and Scott Galloway, who's a famous podcaster, talks about AI is not going to take our jobs. Someone that knows how to use AI will. Right. And I love that statement. I love it for a couple of reasons. One, it kind of hopefully dispels some fear, but it also puts the power back on me as a user, right? I am empowered to learn how to use this tool. And if I learn how to use this tool, I will be more effective and I will have more job security in the future. Right. So I love talking about that. I love, telling people, hey, imagine 10 years ago, you could learn coding, right? You probably would have had a much more successful career if you had gotten ahead of that curve. AI is that next curve, treating prompt engineering as a language that we all need to learn. Right now, I'm going to do prompt engineering in English because that's my common language, and other people in other parts of the world will use their native language. But the actual science of creating a prompt, of perfecting a prompt, of starting out very iterative with prompts and tweaking a prompt to get me an even better finished product. Because at the end of the day, we really encourage people to think about not how do I replace jobs if I'm a business leader, but even if I'm an employee, it's not about replacing the work that I'm doing. How do I get AI to do the work that I'm doing? It's not about that. It's how do I use a tool to make my work more efficient and more productive so that I can add more value into the finished product. So if an AI tool can do, something that I used to do in days in a matter of minutes, I can spend that extra time taking that product even further, that strategic plan, that, business case, that marketing campaign. So it's really about, a 1+1 situation, AI plus, my skill sets not equaling 2 anymore. How can I get it to equal 3 or 4? Right. So again, I think the psychology piece is important. Sharing use cases, sharing wins, right? Getting people excited to play with the tools and the technology is all going to help us and help SMEs adopt the time.
As you rightly said, Brian, human connection often drives the success of even the most advanced technologies. How can Gen AI tools promote diversity, equity, and inclusion and build resilient, high performance team for the future?
Yeah. Really important question. Really, really important. CDW, where I work, is committed to DEI. I actually chair a business resource group called Unite, and our mission is to drive meaningful human connection by doing social impact work, whether that be a beach cleanup, a tree planting, working with food banks. So, DEI is core to what CDW does. When we intersect that with AI, there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of hope. But at the same time, there's also things that are happening right now. So in the survey, when we looked at different accessibility challenges, one of the things that jumped out at us was that more than 50% of people with communication challenges are comfortable using Gen AI tools and are adopting the Gen AI tools.
More than 50%.
More than 50% of people with communications challenges, right? So that could be text to speech, speech to text. That could be language translation, right? We're in a world now where you can have instantaneous language translation. That is new, right? So there's a lot of really exciting promise there. I think, Gen AI could be a great leveling tool in technology, right? I have members of my family with disabilities, and I'm excited to see them leverage these tools and technologies to bring out the best inside of them. So there's definitely, I would say, more to come there. I think it's definitely an area that CDW is very interested in following as the technology continues to evolve.
Right. Listeners, remember, AI thrives when paired with human ingenuity. Build cultures that truly value connection, collaboration, and adaptability to harness AI's potential. Now, looking forward, discussing on how SMEs can future-proof their strategies in the evolving of AI landscape. As everyone know, AI is here to stay, and it's going to, day by day, it's a hot topic for each and everyone.
Yeah.
And I was watching one of the conferences that took place in Saudi last, I think, 2 months back. One of the co-founder of a good company, I don't remember the name, he said, companies will die if they don't adopt the AI tools. He said, definitely people are going to lose job, as you said, if they don't learn the AI tools. So, AI is here to stay, as we said, and SMEs must adopt to remain competitive by embracing innovation, building resilience, and creating strategies that ensure long-term growth in ever-evolving landscape. Brian, what advice do you have for SMEs to stay ahead in this rapidly evolving AI landscape?
Yeah, lot there. But again, a really important question. So there's a couple of different pieces. Organizations need to get started, right? And what that means is if you're not already, piloting some Gen AI tools, if you're not working with different groups within your organization to come up with AI policies and AI governance, that is very, very problematic, right? If you're not communicating with your users and with your employees around your intentions around Gen AI tools, that's problematic. So we are very active in obviously coming on to podcasts like this and doing, market trend reports to help enable and educate clients. But the training is going to be a big piece, right? Understanding how to get executive support. Right. So within the walls of my organization, our CIO leads and is the executive sponsor of our AI strategy. Right. He provides, reoccurring updates on the tools that we're investing in, some of the great use cases that are happening. Right. And it's a great way to have an open discussion. We've got forums where people can share different things that they're doing. I had an employee, a colleague of mine, share an example of a way that his son, was using AI tools to help him, do better work at school. And, I think there's still some demystification, right? I grew up in a world where at first, when I did a research project, I looked in Encyclopedia Britannica, right? I looked in National Geographic magazines, right? And then a few years later, the internet came out. And what was the initial, reaction? You can't use the internet to do research. That's cheating. Right now, again, I'm 41 years old, so I'm dating myself. That's going back, 3-ish decades. But I think we're in a similar moment in time, right? Using AI, some people might still feel is cheating. And there could be ways that people use that tool to cheat, right? There's no, getting around that. But again, teaching people the right way to augment your work, to amplify your productivity, to amplify your creativity, right? To do research faster, to connect dots that maybe you wouldn't have connected within your own brain is something that's really exciting. Last thing I'll say, we talk a lot about this spectrum of AI utility and AI hype. Right there, go on Google and type in AI news, right? There's probably a whole bunch of parabolic headlines, designed to create fear, uncertainty, type clickbait type topics. So when we think about that, we want to pay attention to AI hype. We think it can inspire us. It can, paint these different versions of the future that may be coming, but really focus in on current state AI utility. What are certain things I can do today in my role to be more productive, to be more effective, to be more creative, to be more collaborative? What are those types of AI utility use cases, right? So that's, I think, and again, important to distinguish. AI is a buzzword. It means a lot, right? And, sometimes some of the bigger hype can distract us from the things that we can do today to extract value from AI tools.
I know how CDW Canada team help different organizations in adopting these new technologies.
Yeah, so CDW has a lot of different AI partnerships. We actually have a great heritage of AI prior to, the ChatGPT inspired Gen AI boom. So things like high performance computing and working with different research institutions. And we've got a great partnership with NVIDIA, which is fueling a lot of things happening in AI. So we've got a lot of background in AI. We've got a strong background in cybersecurity, which is a key component, a strong background with Microsoft, who's a key leader within Gen AI. Obviously, Apple as well is doing a lot of great things around Apple Intelligence. So we've got the partnerships, we've got the security and AI expertise. How we're helping clients is bringing that expertise to the forefront. We've got a whole bunch of different AI workshops, AI end user training that we can do for organizations. We can help organizations with AI workshops and strategic planning. We can, bring in adoption accelerator motions where, okay, now that you've rolled out a Gen AI tool, how do we actually make sure that we're leveraging this, right? So the 40% of people that think there's no value in Gen AI for their job, how do we get that number down to zero, right? How do we get mass adoption? And when you think about it, whether you're an SME, a mid-market organization, a public center entity, if every single one of your employees becomes supercharged and highly productive, that's going to lead to good business outcomes.
It's going to make a very big difference.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and the great work done by CDW Canada. Brian, as we close, what's the key takeaway, like you'd like our listeners to remember about AI adoption for their businesses?
Yeah. So thank you again for having me today. It's a super exciting conversation. It's an honor to be here. My message, my key message, Gen AI is here.
Right.
Gen AI is here, and that adoption is being led by your employees. So whether you formally rolled out a tool or whether you're, waiting or taking a wait and see approach to it, those tools are being adopted. Your employees are going to places that you likely don't want them to go to train themselves through trial and error. And that presents a whole host of cybersecurity challenges to your business. So the message is to get started, to come up with a plan, to reach out to a trusted partner or a third-party organization that can help you build out that strategy and get going, right? You don't want to be late to AI, and you don't want to be late to implementing AI skill sets within your organization.
Thank you so much, Brian, for joining us today and sharing your expertise and insights with our listeners. It was a great pleasure hosting you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Today, we had the pleasure of speaking with Brian Matthews about how generative AI is reshaping Canadian workplaces and challenges SMEs face in adopting it. We are grateful to our partners RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for making this podcast possible. To explore more insightful content, visit our official website CanadianSME.ca and don't forget to subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine. Stay innovative, stay connected, and we will see you in the next Canadian SME podcast series. Take care, and we will catch you next time.